Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mitt podcast, episode number 162. And in this episode, we're going to be breaking down the power of pivoting and how we're all 1 to 2 small decisions away from a completely different life. Have you ever made a tiny decision, or maybe an impulsive decision, or something that was done off of instinct, and it changed your life forever in some type of way? Like you never wanted to leave the city you lived in, and then suddenly your friend gave you an idea, or when you were on vacation, and suddenly you moved across the country, and now you ended up marrying someone, dating someone, becoming friends with this group, and have this whole unique career path that you would have never anticipated, but it was because of one tiny phone call. Or maybe you were up late, you just didn't love the job or business that you had at the moment, so you just shot out a couple applications. Next thing you know, 3 years later, you've moved up, you're making more money than you could ever imagine. And it was all based on one tiny decision. Life is full of these. And what gives all of you guys that listen and many other successful people a competitive advantage in life is that when we face problems, we go through a struggle, when things aren't coming together like we want them to, something is going wrong. Most of the world starts blaming outside sources and other people for their lack of success. But everyone that's listening, and really successful people in the world, they don't blame. For example, let's say you ran 2 ads and they didn't work. You don't say that marketing doesn't work. You say that ad didn't work. You don't jump on 5 or even 100 sales calls or cold calls and go, oh, sales doesn't work or cold calling doesn't work. No, your script maybe doesn't. The product, the pricing, your approach, your tonality. And that's how life works. And this is how to quickly tell that someone is going to be a winner or they just have tremendous success coming for them, is they never blame their circumstances. They adjust. They pivot. And what's so cool, and something that every single one of you should all get excited about, and something I always try to remind myself and my closest friends, is you're one tiny change away from everything reaching a new level of in your finances, your happiness, you name it. And it was talking to a business owner that I work with, I consult for, and I was telling them how almost every time when my businesses just skyrocketed in profitability and revenue, it almost always was never from investing all this money in this big boardroom decision. It was always something like, what if we did this instead? What if we ran the appointment over the phone instead of in person? Or what if we changed this part of the script? And it would be like one tiny change and it would result in like $5 million worth of sales. And you couldn't even imagine how many positive benefits came from that one thing. And so what's so cool about this, and I think how we all need to approach this, is what if you're 12 decisions away from something that will make you a multi-millionaire or even a billionaire? Or you're 12 dates away from meeting your husband or your wife? Or 12 mistakes and one right decision away from landing an investor that changes your company forever? This is how exciting life is. Now, how do we manage our emotions during this process? The first thing that I think is the most important is never tie your happiness to the current state of your business or your life. This sounds counterintuitive because all the world talks about is, are you happy? Do you feel good? How are your emotions? And while being happy is important and being in a good state is important, we cannot tie our happiness and fulfillment to the current emotional state that we're in. Because even if you're poised, intelligent, you don't get flustered much, everything is not always going to be perfect. And if, for those of you that run a business, you know this better than anybody. Even if it's a billion-dollar company, you are constantly dealing with problems. It could be legal problems, it could be people quitting, it could be HR issues, it could be cash flow issues, you name it. And so if you tie your happiness to whatever is going on in your life, it'll be like a roller coaster of emotions. Here's the key. Attach your happiness to who you are, to God, to your family, to the inner work that you do and the mission that you're going after, whatever that may be. Then, when great things happen, sure, celebrate them, maybe have a nice dinner, but don't lose your mind. And when things go wrong, don't crash out, have to take the day off, go seek therapy, and be stressed and complain to your friends. Just stay steady. If you have a great win, congratulate your team, but focus on the next meeting. Something goes wrong, assess it and figure out what happened, and think about not only how you can prevent it, but how you can stop these types of problems from ever occurring in the future. Now that you're level-headed, you're looking at the game that you're in, whether it's a job, your business, whatever the situation is, almost as if you were playing a video game. You're moving with strategy instead of emotion. And look, we're all human. We all have good days and bad days. I think I can't remember what day of the week it was. It was like maybe Thursday or something. I just felt off. My energy was off. Things weren't right. I stayed steady. I went and saunaed. I meditated. I refocused. I finished the day strong. Had an amazing week, right? Every one of us is going to experience things as a human. It's okay. But we can train our minds to go into problem-solving mode instead of an emotional roller coaster mode, which is a massive, massive difference. All right, so I want to tell you a quick story about someone named Sarah Blakely. She's the founder of Spanx and one of the few female billionaires in the world. And she didn't come from money. She was charismatic, hardworking, incredible salesperson. But anyway, she was 27 years old selling fax machines door to door. Think about right now on social media, right? It seems like everyone that's over the age of 20 has a Lamborghini, a Rolex, and makes millions of dollars. We know that's not all true. But if you're 27 or even 30 years old, someone that became a billionaire was just selling stuff door to door. And she was doing this, and she was going to go out with her friends, and she had shorts on, and she wanted to wear pantyhose, but the problem is she didn't want pantyhose sticking out all the way down her legs and for it to look weird. So she said, oh, what if I just cut it off? But then she said, you know what? I've had this problem forever. Does anybody sell this? She looked everywhere, couldn't find it. And she realized this might be a legit business. I bet other women have this same problem. So she asked around and they're like, oh my God, I need that. I have that same problem. She called manufacturer after manufacturer after manufacturer until finally one of the manufacturers who had a daughter said, you know what? This is actually a pretty good idea. She invested $5,000, basically all the money that she had, and started a company called Spanx. She used the skills that she had from doing door-to-door. If any of you guys have done door-to-door, you know how talented and mentally tough you are, and you're built different because it's not easy. But she took those skill sets to get a meeting with Nordstrom, and she used a different strategy. She said, look, people need to experience it. So what she did is she went to a changing room with executives at Nordstrom and she tried it on and showed the difference of like how it shaped her body and how good it looked and how it would be so valuable to women all across America, and they loved it. And then it helped her get into Macy's and online and e-commerce and all these other department stores. And she ended up having the company. She sold a majority stake in the company at a $1.2 billion valuation. She's married to an awesome guy that's also extremely successful, and they're a power couple. But my point to you is this. It was one tiny decision. She was knocking doors. She was trying to make a living. She was hustling, and she was just going out with her friends. And she said, what if I just cut this? And it turned into a multi-billion-dollar business. She inspired women all across the world. She inspired me, inspired probably you guys as well. And now she has an incredible husband, family, successful, speaks all over the world, and is tremendously successful. But let's think also about all the lives that she impacted, not only people that were inspired, but employees, kids. The ripple effect can go on and on and on I could explain this for days, probably. If she was here, it would be such great detail, right? So the reason why I think this message is so important is I think it can kind of refuel and energize us, because when you're building something, you're trying to be successful, God, you got to deal with a lot of problems. And there's times where it can cause you to become a little bit resentful and a little bit bitter and annoyed. Have you ever been in sales? Some of you guys have probably experienced this with dating too, or friends. Like, it seems like every person you come across just sucks. They just aren't good. Or you're calling leads and it seems like everyone is pissed you called them and does not want to talk to you. But if you let those few losses get to your head, it starts coming out with the way that you speak. It kills your energy and it attracts more of that negative environment and people and experiences. But if you refocus your energy and go, like that did suck. No one likes getting cursed out or hanging out with bad people or whatever. But what if I call someone today and suddenly it's $1 million deal? Or what if I send another 25 DMs on LinkedIn and one person loves my idea and invests $1 million into my company? My friend James, Jack, and Josh, they have a company called the School of Hard Knocks. Every person that's existed on life has seen their videos because they get like 1 billion views a month. But I knew these guys when they had 20,000 followers on TikTok. I commented and I said, hey, like, let's connect. I didn't realize you guys are in Austin. And I've done a lot of content on them. I'm on their page a few times. But what's so cool is they were in at UT, University of Texas, and people don't realize how hard they've worked. James, Jack, they would sit, and Josh, they would go up and down the streets in Austin and just go up to people. And they would get rejected and rejected and rejected. And of course, just because someone says they'll do an interview doesn't mean that they're successful or they're interesting. And even still to this day, the business is now worth over $100 million. I think it's Jesse Switzer, if I'm not mistaken, which is Sarah Blakely's husband, asked to invest $10 million. Logan Paul asked to invest, I think, 20 or 25 million into the business. And even to this day now, do they have some scheduled interviews? Of course. But they literally will go to Rodeo Drive and they'll see someone that looks rich and they'll be like, no, I'm good. And they keep asking, and then they'll say yes. Think about even 3 years ago. I guarantee those three, and specifically, I guess, James, who's the interviewer, has been rejected more than almost every single person on earth in even just the last 6 months. But you would never know. Because we see the highlight reel. We see the billionaire on a random Tuesday that gives us incredible advice and has 15 million views. The key is that they never gave up. They never gave up and they always pivoted. They're always adjusting and changing their target and changing their approach until they found something that worked. And it was like wildfire. It took off. And now they have a 9-figure company. These guys are young 20-year-olds, geniuses, but they never gave up and they played the long game. And that's what's important for all of us to do, is to not get caught up in the small quarrels and battles of today. Instead go, what would happen if I never gave up? I kept learning. I kept networking. I kept getting smarter for 10 years. Think about how good you're going to really be. Think about it. And it's only one small iteration. How do you do this? You don't stay bitter. You constantly get new information. And 3, this is a big hack. Be around winners. Be around people who are doing great things and are better than you. Because many times you might be able to pick up the phone and call someone that has $1 million ad spend per year or sometimes per month. And something that you've been so stressed with. They're like, oh, bro, we had that too. Just change this and change this and it's fixed. And you're like, oh, and you feel like an idiot. But that one tiny change ends up being $5 million in sales. That's the point of never getting bitter, keeping your energy and continuing to take massive action, right? So I'm going to give you 3 simple to-do lists to be better at this and pivot better in life. And then we'll break. We'll have a great week, all right? Number 1, a great question is, what if you're 10 decisions away from striking gold? You never know when it's going to come. You have to keep striking. You have to keep going after things. So that's number 1. You cannot get lucky if you are not persistent. My favorite quote of the year. I'll take this one to my grave. A moving man will always find his luck. If you just don't give up, something's going to happen, right? We can all be wrong 5 times or 10 times, but it's hard to be wrong 300 times. If you're going after something 300 times, you just have to be right one time. Okay, the second thing is move fast and never live in hypothesis land. Don't be the guy that has all of these ideas, but never takes it to market. The one thing that's so important, especially in business, and the best entrepreneurs will have this, is they move fast. If they have an idea, they call a couple of their friends, they will have a product in 3 to 5 business days, and they'll take it to the market, realize these 4 things are wrong, and get it fixed before the other person even filed the LLC. Action gives you answers. Okay, you will almost always ascend and elevate faster than anybody else you could be competing against if you are moving with action and experience than just watching a bunch of podcasts. Look, these podcasts are great. You learn information, you get filled up, it's a new perspective. I think we should all do it. Listen to positive stuff 30 minutes a day. But nothing will teach you more about life and business than picking up the phone and calling 300 people. People ask all the time, Grant, what book should I read for sales? I said you shouldn't. You should pick up a list and call 300 people. That's how you get good at sales. Take action, all right? Number 3, we talked about this briefly earlier. Never attach your happiness or fulfillment to the current results that you're experiencing. If you do this, sometimes you can have a big win, you start celebrating, you stop doing the little things that got you there. You start going backwards then, right? Same thing, you have a bad week or a bad month. Don't lose your mind, crash out and quit. Keep going and be consistent. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, guys, please leave a review, comment below. Every time you do, it pushes out to more people. Also, if you are viewing this on YouTube, there's a hype button right below. Every time it does, it pushes it out to more people. As always, guys, I'm rooting for you guys. Have an incredible week, and I will see you guys again for episode 163. Thank you, guys.